From the videos that I've seen, it looks like a snowball fight.
So we have some interesting updates with this whole snowball fight situation with the NYPD, because apparently arrests today have now been made, which either means one of two things. Either Mamdani backtracked on his ridiculous stance of this just being a snowball fight with some kids and vowing that nobody should be prosecuted, or the NYPD is openly revolting against their own mayor and taking matters into their own hands, which either way is not a great look for Mamdani. My working theory is it's probably a mixture of both. It's also worth noting that Mamdani is allegedly meeting with Trump in private at the White House today, so who knows if this was an attempt to save face for the city just beforehand. But again, either Mamdani knew he made a mistake in trying to appease his base of radical far leftists, or likewise the NYPD is just giving him the gigantic middle finger, or maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle where he is trying to publicly seem anti-police but knows that it's a really bad idea as a mayor to have your own police department hate you more than they already do, so he's quietly sort of sitting back and letting it all go down. I don't know, but I do want to bring you this full chronicle here today. I want to show you just how ridiculously the mayor of New York City threw his own cops under the bus as this mob of ghetto thug lunatics is just assaulting them. First though, do us a favor, guys. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We greatly appreciate the support, but it also ensures that you can stay up to date with all the latest news and coverage. And that said, so let us just start by bringing you this viral video that shows what went down earlier this week in a park with the NYPD, where again, this mob is just chucking stuff at them, right? And I will allow you to watch with your own eyes. We're not going to try to put any spin on it. We will allow you to interpret what you just saw and then contrast that side by side with the mayor just describing this as a snowball fight with some kids, because I think as you watch, a lot more than that is happening. This is not some kids. This is not friendly, but judge for yourself and take a look. Again, this is what's causing all the controversy.
It's gonna be inside the playground. I ain't do nothing. Come on. Don't touch me.
Okay, so having watched that video, I want your honest opinion on this. Would you classify that more as a snowball fight or a violent anti-police riot, right? Was that just some cops, throwing snowballs back and forth with some kids, having fun in the park, having a good time? Or was that an angry mob chucking stuff at police officers while they're cussing them out, telling them, get the F out of here, right? Celebrating their hatred for the police, and the police having to retreat because they couldn't even control a rowdy and rambunctious and angry crowd, right? Did that look more like a snowball fight or a BLM riot? Because here's the thing, is that the word fight typically implies mutual combat, right? In order to have a snowball fight, someone has to be throwing snowballs back at you. Typically, when there's something at a bar going down, okay, if they're both throwing punches, then that's what we would consider a fight. If someone is not responding at all and you're just wailing on the guy, that's no longer a fight, right? That's violent assault. That's potentially attempted murder. The same thing would be true in a war, as another example, right? The point I'm making, you need mutual combatants for things to actually be a fight, whether that's friendly or not so friendly. Typically in a war, war, when militaries are shooting at each other, we call that a battle. When armies are just going to unarmed civilians who can't fight back and just killing them all, that's something we would typically classify as a war crime or a genocide. Yes, Mamdani, you love to use the word genocide. So just understanding, right? You need some degree of mutual combat for it to be a fight. There's no fight. Okay, what's going on right now is assault, by the way, of police officers. You have to wonder whether these people learn growing up, hey, you don't just mess with the police like that. But clearly, I guess, when that is the culture of policing, that's the politics around the NYPD, that they're just going to retreat from a situation like that, then I guess it shouldn't be all that surprising. And it really shouldn't be surprising given the fact that their city's own mayor is backing them up on that. Because after watching what you just saw, and by the way, just understanding the context, at least one of the NYPD officers ended up with 2 lacerations on the face, because I don't know if you could tell, the crowd was chucking the snow pretty hard, and it seemed like they were aiming directly for these police officers' heads, right? Trying to cause at least some minimal injury. It wasn't all that friendly. And then here you have Zohran Mamdani, oh, sorry, Freudian slip there, right? Zohran Mamdani, stating that he will not pursue any charges because he believes, yes, genuinely, what you saw on your screen was merely some kids having fun in the park. Well, they don't look like kids, and it didn't look like a friendly snowball fight, but take a look.
From the videos that I've seen, it looks like a snowball fight. I think that there were 2 officers who were facing lacerations on their face.
Call for prosecution of those who pelted them?
Look, I've seen the videos of this snowball fight. I think that it was a snowball fight.
The NYPD says no arrests have been made, but the investigation remains ongoing. Elections have consequences, Sandra.
So, Mr. Mayor, are you willing to revise your statement regarding the snowball fight, given that this was not exactly a friendly back-and-forth snowball fight? The police that were there were not throwing any snowballs. They were getting pelted themselves. And number 2, have you considered, or would you consider banning these crowdsourcing events because they can and sometimes do get out of hand?
So I'm not going to be banning snowball fights or organized snowball fights. I've shared my thoughts with New Yorkers, and I continue to believe that what we are seeing in this response to this winter blizzard from the city workers as a whole, and that includes the hardworking men and women of the NYPD, is part of why the city's getting back on its feet, and I'm appreciative of that work.
Well, gee, I just really wonder why the NYPD is dealing with such a severe retention crisis. I wonder why people are leaving the force and don't want to work for a boss like this who just throws them under the bus every opportunity he gets and sides with the crazy mobs of idiots who are attacking them out in the streets. And no, by the way, Mamdani, we're not just talking about a snowball fight with kids for the millionth time. I'm not sure if 5-year-old kids are yelling, F you, get the F out of here, ooh, 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 right, towards police officers. If they do, I think there's a severe parental intervention that's needed there. But nonetheless, that's not the case. As a matter of fact, as one example here, one of the people who was assaulting them ended up being a 27-year-old man, Mamdani. Not a kid, a 27-year-old. This guy's almost 30. This guy's older than me, right? Who had just been arrested for an attempted robbery three weeks prior. And how does the communist mayor reframe this? Oh, they're just some juveniles, right? Rowdy teenagers, nothing more than that, nothing to see here. Well, ever since the NYPD, despite Mamdani's objections, have indeed announced arrests in this case. Take a listen for yourself.
The NYPD making an arrest in Monday's snowball attack on police in Washington Square Park. The 27-year-old Guzman Kolabali is under arrest for his role in Monday's attack. That left 2 New York police officers injured. Kolabali is no stranger to police. He was arrested just a few weeks ago for an attempted robbery in the transit system. You'll remember this is how Mayor Mamdani described Monday's incident.
I can just tell you from the video I saw, it looked like kids at a snowball fight.
The governor of New York was asked about Monday's attack and said this.
Our police officers put themselves in harm's way every single day, and there is no circumstance where it's okay to throw anything at a police officer, so that is appropriate.
Yeah, so what suddenly changed, we don't exactly know. Whether it has something to do with the Trump meeting today or Mamdani's privately backtracking or the other potential possibility that the NYPD and local New York authorities are just openly revolting against their own mayor and doing it anyway, which I would argue is a political crisis in itself. A mayor has no even ability to work in conjunction with their own police department anymore. That's not a good situation for sure. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Either way, it's a very bad look for Mamdani. In fact, it's so bad that even New York Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul is refuting him on that and stating clearly, right? This, first of all, is not a quote-unquote snowball fight. Everyone watched the same video. It's not really up for dispute. And secondly, common sense says it's never okay to chuck things at a police officer. I feel like this is something that we were intuitively taught or understood from a young age. I suppose not. But hammering home and going back to Trump's whole message at the State of the Union and Trump's message for the midterms, right? What is this another example of? The Democrat Party is crazy because only a crazy person could look at this scene and think that it's okay. Only insane, ideological, far-left radicals would think that absolutely there is no room to charge or arrest or even gain order in a scene like this, but that is exactly who you are handing over your cities, your states, and ultimately your country to if you vote for Democrats. And here's just yet another prime example of that. As I said, right, if Democrats want to cruise through the midterms, all they have to do is show the American people that they are relatively normal. But of course, that's impossible for them to do because they are not. This is the exact insane, just Looney Tunes radical politics that turned off people from Democrats to begin with. And the kind of ultimate outcome of Mamdani's election and him being mayor right now in New York City is that, hey, you're about to get a taste of that yet again. And so we'll see where it all leads. But again, just seriously, imagine watching this and saying that's just a snowball fight. You think it's okay for this to happen to your city's police officers as they get injured by the snowballs, by the way, right? So clearly it was not just some kids fooling around, but that's what he thinks. So all I can say is, well, remember that. Remember that in November. All right, that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on this whole situation in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you were new, and until next time, God bless and peace.